How accurate should a historical fiction book be? Hi, my name is Joel Marquez and I am the author of The Ivory General, which is a historical fiction book set during the Second Punic War. And in this video, I hope to answer the question, how much leeway does an author have when they're writing historical fiction? Now, any writer will tell you that the most important thing of any book is the plot and the characters, and those are essential to a good story. The historical accuracy comes in secondary. And the reason for this is that people read historical fiction not to study history, but to be entertained. In order to do that, novelists will need to have good characters and they'll need to have a good plot. They'll need characters that change and grow over time. They have to have characters the reader identifies with, and they need a plot that rises in action. They'll need the conflict to increase over time, and in the end, they will need a resolution that ties neatly together. And unfortunately, this is not always the case when it comes to history. History does not come gift wrapped, and therefore an author will need to change, even omit some facts in order to tell a good story, because that is always the prime motive to write and read historical fiction. But that's not to say that the writer can totally disregard facts altogether. There's a careful dance that he needs to do. There's this unspoken contract that with the reader, the author will be as historically accurate as possible when it comes to their writing. It's really a matter of trying to put together a good story, weave it in with the historical facts. It's something that's really a challenge to do, and it's something that has to be done almost on instinct. So if you're a historical fiction writer, you will need to read a lot of historical fiction books set in the time frame that you are writing it, and making sure that you research the time period thoroughly. Just because you're writing in that time period and you're taking liberties, you still need to know all the facts. You need to know when you can take those liberties and when you're actually diverting from the actual facts. And you must first explain it in your own head and why you're doing that. And then the reader will understand that you changed the narrative of the history in order to tell a better story. Now, there's also another sort of contract that the writer has with the reader, and that is with ethical consideration. What do I mean by that? It's when a writer will purposefully change the history in order for some political motive or for some sort of statement that they want to make. And obviously that is definitely something that should be avoided. Writer cannot change history just to suit some sort of political end. A reader will first notice that, they will become disenchanted with the writing, and they will put the book down. So to summarize, a historical fiction writer should always write in service of the plot and character first, but they should also keep in mind the unspoken contract they have with the reader to keep them within the world and to be as historically accurate as possible. And in that way, the book will be a good read, but also ensure that the reader learns something along the way about that time period. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and you learned something about history and fiction, and I will catch you in the next one.